Why remember to go? Woodra wouldn't you? You're good now, Awabakal Ngurrawa. Hello friend, good to see you. Today I'm on Awabakal country. And well, as you can see, I'm in the garage. Meant to be working on the car today, but it's raining. So, really can't do that. So today's video, guys, as the title says, is going to be about the essentials to take camping and that with you. I actually got asked this question when I did my camp at Wallaroo State Forest, just before Clean Up Australia Day. So I thought, you know what, it's something I haven't really touched on, is essentials to take camping with you. So that's what we're doing today. This isn't going to be a top 5 thing, this is just going to be straight out essentials. And I'm going to kick it off with the first thing I think everybody needs when they go camping, and that is some sort of shelter. Now, as you pretty well all know, when I go camping solo, I sleep in the car. I don't worry about tents, I don't worry about swags or anything like that. I've set the car up so I can sleep comfortably in the back of there. But I didn't start doing that. See, when I started off camping, it was for Aussie carp shows back when I was running the old fishing club. And we used to go down and do trips down at Yarramundi, down on the Nepean River, and we'd camp there and we'd be a few hundred metres from the car. And we'd be fishing the entire time. Our lines would basically not leave the water unless they were getting rebaited or catching a fish, which didn't happen too often, but it did. So when I started off camping down at Yarramundi, I started off with the little 5-person Anco tent. Little 5-person tent with vestibule, and that was my basic camp. That's what I started off with. And I took that, which again is a Kmart self-inflating mattress. That and a sleeping bag, and an inflatable pillow. That's what I took camping when we were doing Yarramundi and trips like that. So for those trips, the little 5p tent and the single mattress did me just fine. And then I decided I wanted to start taking the wife out a little bit, and we did a trip down to Percy's place at Pittown. Obviously both of us aren't going to fit on the 5p, so we got ourselves a queen size inflatable mattress, again from Kmart. And this did the two of us really well. Problem I did find was the wife couldn't stand up properly in the 5-person tent, being a little bit unstable. So eventually we opted for the big boy here, the BCF Wanderer 10-person tent. And you've seen this in videos before. It's a big tent, takes me about half an hour to put up. It's a lot heavier, a lot smaller than a bloody swag, and a lot lighter than a swag. But it's a big 10-person tent. You can easily fit the queen bed mattress in there. You can have all your clothing, tables, things like that in there. And this is actually a really good tent. Again, we've had this now for probably about 8 years. And it's done us really well. So, not a problem. Cheap, 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 and cheap. So you don't need to spend the big bucks to get out there. Now to the actual bedding side of things. Look, these are, in my opinion, your shelter and your bedding are the most important things. If you don't have a good night's sleep, you're not going to enjoy your stay out there. Again, for me, a single sleeping bag. And as mentioned, when I started off camping, I had an inflatable pillow. Eventually, I upgraded to these two little ones that I kept in the car at all times when I got the Padge. And these made it quite a bit more comfortable. That with the sleeping bag, and that did me nice. I didn't worry about a sheet on the inflatable mattress, I never have. I'll just lay straight down on the top. When I do go with the missus though, she likes to have the sheet on there. It doesn't bother me. A couple of little cushion pillows from Kmart, I think they were $7 each. But the inflatable pillow that I used was about $3, and pretty sure that was also from Kmart as well. So again, really cheap stuff. I don't see the need to spend big bucks when you're just starting out and you don't even know if you like it yet. Now that we've upgraded and we've gone to the 10-person tent and all that sort of thing, we have gone and opted to take our own bedding. So we take our own doona cover, we take sheets, we take our own pillows, things like that. I've got a couple of pillows that I use all the time specifically for the car. They don't get used in the house, they only get used when I'm out camping. I've also got a double doona that I use when I'm solo camping now. So essentials, guys, to start with is some shelter, something to sleep under, protect you from the elements. Even if it's a tarp, you know, a lot of wild campers do that. And as you saw in the Page Foreman's video, I said to you there that it got too hot in the car one night there, and I ended up sleeping in the hammock. I threw my pillows in the hammock, I threw my doona in the hammock, and I had the tarp over the top of me. That was actually a really nice, comfortable sleep. Haven't done it again, but I do plan to do more camping like that. It was really comfortable and really nice. Now the next thing that I'd put onto a list of essentials, somewhere to sit. Now, in all honesty, this is one of the cheaper Kmart Big W chairs, whatever they are. You know, I don't even know where this one came from, to be honest. I don't recall ever buying it. But quite a few years back, I bought one much like this. I took it down to Lithgow with my brother and with the missus and son. And the first time I went to stand up on it, I put my weight up on the corner here and the whole thing snapped. So the really cheap, crappy Kmart chairs like these, I won't recommend. That one's even ripped there, and again, I don't even know where it came from. I don't even remember buying it. This one here I've had for near on 10 years. I actually bought two of them. One of them has finally packed it in, and I've still got this one. This is the Oz Trail Big Boy. Now, we purchased these because the missus and I are both well over 100 kilos, and a lot of the smaller chairs like this won't handle over 100 kilos. So we bought these. From memory, these hold either 130 or 150. They're actually quite comfortable. I've fallen asleep in these things while I've been fishing. They've got a higher back support than the chair that I'm currently sitting in does, and it does make it a lot more comfortable just to kick back and doze off. Now, this is a style that I've been seeing a lot more of, and I bought this just to keep in the car for those days where I go up to Waibung Head or something. I want to have a coffee and I want to actually set a seat out. Now, to be honest, I was really sceptical about this. They don't look strong. They look horrible and weak. But this is a little mountain design one from Anaconda. Cost me $50. And they're a little piece together fold up thing. But they go up quick. They're small. They're lightweight. And they're actually surprisingly comfortable and surprisingly strong. The downsides to them is they don't have armrests. So like me, I like to push off the armrest to stand up. They don't have that, so you can't push off the armrests. But, you know, for something that is so small, lightweight, I really thought that it would buckle under my weight the first time I sat on it. And I've used it a number of times now, and it's actually been surprisingly really good. So these tiny little things, as said, they weigh nothing. They've got the base to go on the bottom of them for dirt and sand and things like that, so it doesn't sink in as easy. I haven't used that yet. But these things are very surprisingly comfortable and nice to use. And they're $50. I think this is rated to about 120 kilos. So, yeah, I'm under 120. So it's good for me. It's a great little chair just to throw in the car, out of the way. Even if you're not camping, just for general day-to-day use, they're a great little option. Lots of different brands out there. I'm not saying to use any particular one. As I said, this is a mountain design from Anaconda. It's what I've purchased. And then we have this style of chair, which is the one that I use pretty much all the time now. They pack flat and don't take up a lot of room, and they've got a little table for your cuppa or whatever on the side. I like that. As you can see, I've thrown all my stickers on there. Bit of self-promotion when I'm out in the bush if somebody walks past. So these chairs, again, it's a Wanderer. I can't remember what I paid, but we bought them 3-4 years ago now for Christmas. We all got one, and again, they've been great. And they're the chairs that I use every time I go camping now. Next essential for taking off-road, something to cook on. At the end of the day, we all need to eat something, and we need something to cook on. Whether you want to opt for a lunchbox style, a little butane can cooker like that, I've used these for ages. I opted out of these simply because of the size of them. Most of the time when I use them, it was, for example, pulling up at Waibung Heads, and I just want to make a quick cuppa on the side of the road. Trying to unpack everything in my bloody drawer to get to this thing that's sitting on the bottom of it was a pain in the ass. And then these canisters, in colder weather, you might be left with yay much gas in the bottom of them, but because of the colder weather, it contracts the gas and they don't work. So you're wasting X amount of bloody gas in the bottom of them all the time. Or you've got to wait till it warms up to use that little bit. So you're left with a whole heap of half-empty cans. They're good cookers. They're nice and stable. Nothing wrong with them, and I will actually be taking them with me to Lithgow. And actually, as you're watching this, I should be down at Lithgow because it should be releasing on Easter Sunday. So I should be down at Lithgow with my brother for the Easter long weekend. So as I said, I stopped keeping this in the car. I stopped using these generally, and I opted for 2 of these. Well, 360-degree Furno stoves from, again, Anaconda. They were $25 each, and they just go on these cans. So quite simple. Go down, screw on, fold them out, and kick it on. And that's it. That's all they are. They're so light, so simple. As you can see, the hot plate section is nowhere near as big as it is on this. And I do find my normal saucepans that I use are okay, but the frying pan that I use at the moment, that slides around a lot on here. It's very unstable. Look, I've cooked fish and chips in there with oil. I've cooked a lot of meals using the frying pan. You just need to make sure you're on flat, stable ground. So instead of putting it on the back door of the car, for example, I'll put it on my table. The advantage I've found over these ones is that, as I mentioned, when the gas gets low on these, they stop working. These don't. They seem to put out a higher pressure, and they seem to actually last longer, and you use all the gas in them. They are only 7 grams bigger, so they're not really much difference in size, but they seem to last a lot longer, and they seem to work a lot better than what these ones do in the lunchbox style stoves. So that's another reason I've opted for these. And in all honesty, guys, when you're looking at storage space, especially if you've got a smaller vehicle or you're doing a hike, size and weight of that, if I can hold it there, and a lighter compared to the lunchbox stove. Massive size difference, massive weight saving, especially again if you're doing a hiking camp. So these things are really good, and again, I use them for all my camping. Now, I do also have a twin burner gas stove that runs off your LPG bottle. I've put that into the camper trailer, which you saw a couple of weeks ago. I've put that in there, and I plan to keep that one in there and use it in there because, to be honest, I don't lug that around, and I don't want to go carting a gas bottle around with me when I'm just camping out of the car. It's too much, it's too big to carry around. So that can stay in the camper trailer, and that can get utilised in there. So that will give me the twin burner on one of those stoves. My particular one, I believe, is orange. The lid folds up, legs fold down under the side, and it comes with the wing guard and everything. And as I said, they plug into your standard LPG bottles. So there's also that option as well. And then obviously you've got your fire cooking as well, which is my preferred method of cooking. Now you've got your tripods. Now my grandfather actually gave me this before he passed away. Your tripod to hang things like your camp oven that you can see in the background here. Hang your camp oven, a billy, whatever you want off these things over the top of the fire, and then you can utilise that. I haven't used it, as I said. Pop gave it to me before he passed, and I simply haven't used it. I haven't had a need for it. I don't use the camp oven all that often. Then you have things like your mesh grills. You've seen me a few times as well use a cast iron skillet. Really like that for cooking steak and chicken. That gives a really nice flavour when you get it red raw hot. The cast iron skillet's beautiful. I do enjoy cooking on cast iron. And what most guys have is your hot plate. I'm not going to open it up because it's covered in rust and filthy and horrible. Needs a really good clean in the season. But your hot plate, this is just a $50 King's one. It's nothing flash, but you see in a lot of my videos when I'm cooking over the fire, that's what I'm using. Because I really do enjoy cooking over a fire rather than using gas. For me, gas, most time, is that, making a cup of tea. Your next essential for going camping, obviously something you need to live, isn't it? Water. Not only to live, but to wash your hands, your face, whatever you might want to do, to wash your body down if you're staying out for a few days and you want to have a bit of a clean. Your water is an essential part of life. And also, if you take some extra, which is always a good idea, use it to put your fire out. Never, ever, ever leave a fire burning when you leave camp. So water, again, however you want to store it, however you want to carry it. I opt for these. As you can see, I've got a few of them up behind me. I opt for these, and I actually picked up a whole heap off Marketplace that we used for tank water at one point, or to transport tank water. That's why I've got so many up there. I'm spewing that Coles and Woolworths no longer seem to do these ones, because these ones in particular, if you can find them, have a screw-off lid, so you can easily rinse them out, you can easily refill them. The ones I see getting used now have the like the wine cask style caps on them, or the pourers on them, and yes, you can take them off, but they're a mongrel to take off, they're a mongrel to put back on, and they just don't last. These screw on and off nice and easy. You got the simple handy little tap at the front. This style of water bottle is the best option I think you can get, and they really do. They're 10 litres, so for every one of these that I take with me, you know, that's 10 litres of water. I generally take, I've got one up there that's got black tape around the handle. I generally take that for dishes and maybe wash my hands, things like that. I don't know why the water always seems to taste funny coming out of that particular one. So I only use that for doing dishes and things like that. The rest of them, 10 litres of water. When I'm doing a 2-night trip, 20 litres for drinking, 10 litres for rinse and washing up, whatever. And I normally come back with at least half of one. So, and that's if I don't use it to put my fire out. So water is always another essential. Now lastly, are a couple of small things that I'm just going to do in one hit that I still believe are essential, but are not necessarily the most important things. And I'm going to start off. This is something you should have in your car anyway, is a first aid kit. Always carry a first aid kit, be it in your car, taking it camp, in your caravan, on a hike, whatever. Always have a first aid kit. Make sure there's a snakebite bandage in it as well, just in case. This is the Aussie bush after all. Next things I like to take, either a roll of garbage bags or some Respect the Bush bags. Now, Ben and Bex from the Adventuring Scots gave me the Respect the Bush bags. I had wanted a set, but I never actually bothered to go and get some. Respect the Bush bags are great, especially if you're cleaning up somebody else's rubbish around camp and there's sharps in there like broken glass, half melted cans, things like that. These are great because they're a lot stronger. Also found an added advantage of these is now that I've got the shower tent on the car, when I'm having a shower, these are waterproof and crap proof. So I can sit these down under the shower and I can stand on here, have my shower and not get filthy feet. So added bonus of these. But Respect the Bush bag folds up to nothing. Roll of garbage bags folds up to nothing. Take one, take both, whatever. Take rubbish bags, clean up your mess, clean up everyone else's mess. One little extra item that's always good. Now this tub, while pretty much empty now, is my little pantry tub now. It did have a lot of cooking gear in it, like knives, forks, trays, other utensils and that I just never used. They basically sat behind me and did nothing. So now I've made this on my pantry one. Some spaghetti in there, some Ritz crackers. One of the most important things you want to take when you're in the bush, some bog roll. Can you imagine going out bush somewhere, going camping for a night or 2 nights or whatever, waking up in the morning, needing a turd and having no bog roll? Not a very comfortable thing. Take a roll, a bog roll with you, and don't just throw it off into the scrub. I know a lot of people take nappy wipes, and I see it all the time. The people that tend to take actual nappy wipes always seem to be the ones that tend to just throw it in the scrub as well. They'll go do their business, they'll wipe whatever, toss it off to the side. It's filthy. Take a roll of bog roll, small shovel, even a little bloody garden trowel with you, and go into the bush a little bit, bury it, make sure you're about 30 metres or more away from a water source, but go into the bush and bury it. A roll of bog roll in your car is always a great little thing anyway. You know, you pull up on the side of the road, say you stop at a rest stop on the way, say at a Rimba, on my way to Sydney, you know, stop down there, a rest stop down there or a Brooklyn or something, need to go to the toilet. Do you really want to use that crappy bulk one-ply shit that they use? Take a roll of bog roll. wherever you go, you got some decent dunny paper. And at the moment, I've just got some rice in there. Needs to be restocked before my next trip, but little pantry container with some dry foods and things like that. So there, majority of the essentials. The other thing I do like the thought of, although I don't use it all the time, this thing came in really handy when I was doing all the fishing trips, because everybody would come up to me, oh dude, my phone's flat, my phone's flat. There's your charger. There's some USB. Plug it in, charge up. You can also, being that I've got 12 volt in this one, I can run camp lights and things like that as well, and I've done that before straight off this box. It's 2 little 7 amp hour sealed batteries. Anderson there is for solar input, so I can charge it off a small foldable solar panel. Some sort of power, even if it's one of those little power banks that you buy or something like that. Or if, like me, you've got power in your car, then just use that. Like your additional 12 volt systems in your car and that, just use that, USB, whatever. But some sort of a battery to charge phones and devices, run lights, things like that. Always a good idea, even if it is just something simple like this. Again, when I started camping, I never had all this. I did make this pretty early on when I started doing all the fishing trips. And it came in really handy for charging phones and that. But in general, I had a couple of round lights, again, from bloody Kmart. They took, I think, 2 AAA batteries, and they'd run for 2 nights. There's actually times there where people had forgot to turn them off before bed under the gazebos. And, you know, they'd run all night on a couple of AA batteries. They're just little round press-to-power, touch-to-power LED lights from Kmart. They were cheap, they were nasty, they threw a heap of light. They hung in the tents, they hung off the gazebos, they'll hang off your awnings, you know, hang inside your swags, and they take up, they're like about that wide and about that thick. So they take up no space at all. So yeah, something along those lines. I would also say headlamps and things like that, but truth be told, guys, I don't use them. I've got a light on my phone if I need to go for a walk. And I've got another little torch, which I can't seem to find at the moment, which is about yay long and about that thick. And it charges by USB out of my car as I'm driving or whatever. And it throws actually a really good light for a cheap, nasty little light that I bought on eBay. It throws a pretty decent light. It's got a laser and it's got a black light in it as well. I initially bought it because we got a cat. And, you know, lasers, cats, they like them. Talking quickly back onto the toilet side of things, you often see in my videos that sitting on the roof. I don't particularly like the thought of trying to squat over a hole when I need to go to the toilet. You do have those ones with the little folding legs and the toilet seat on the top. You put a bag underneath. Not a bad little option. Maybe a little bit flimsy, especially for somebody with a few extra kilos. I'll take that. I've got a bigger one down there as well if I need that for the missus or something, like the extra height. But I'll take this one. And it does me the job. Personally, I'd prefer use something like this. I can be a little bit more comfortable utilising it. I can close it up and trap the smell. One big thing I'll say though is if you're buying any form of chemical toilet or using any form of chemical toilet, when you go into state forests, national parks, whatever, and they've got a drop toilet, if you have chemicals inside these toilets, do not empty it in a drop toilet. The chemicals that you use in these kill all the bacteria and everything that are needed to stop the smell and to break down all the matter in that in your drop toilets. So the chemicals in these will kill all that. So do not empty these things into a drop toilet unless it's been thoroughly cleaned and you've only put your bodily waste and water into them. The smell out of these things after a few days isn't all that bad, to be honest with you. I did 5 days for Colburn and broke. I did 4 nights, 5 days, and the smell out of here was still pretty decent. I didn't really notice it until you opened it. Then, yeah, it got a bit on the nose, but otherwise didn't really notice the smell at all. So, and that's with no chemicals. Well, guys, I think that about wraps this up. So, just a quick rehash. Your essentials for camping. Shelter, bedding, seating. Make yourself comfortable at camp, because if you, at the end of the day, if you're not comfortable at camp, you're not going to want to keep going. So, that's where your shelter, your bedding, and your seating comes in really important. And then, yeah, your food, your water, something to cook over, something to cook with, like your utensils, saucepans, frying pans, things like that. And, yeah, they're the main essentials. First aid kit, toilet paper, and some sort of power, and always something to put your rubbish back into so that you clean up after yourself and you're not leaving rubbish behind. Alright guys, hope you've enjoyed this one. Hope it's been useful for you and you found a bit of good information. If you have, please remember to leave a like. If I've missed anything, please comment below and let me know what you reckon I've missed. Yeah, that's about it guys. Yamma Budji de Murugu, walk a good path. Yano, goodbye. And I generally took that, just fell off the table, didn't it? Gotta leave that in as a blooper.